Caillou, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Right on, man. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you for taking some time here to join the Toddcast in East Vancouver.
Or a
Right on.
pleasure. Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
having
So,
me.
so I saw a post on Mr. Franco's, I think it was on the FKP Instagram page, that you're the current number one Canadian heavyweight MMA fighter. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm the number one heavyweight outside that haven't been signed to UFC, Bellator, or One Championship. So on the regional scene, outside those big promotions, I'm the number one, and I'm just not the number one overall because I haven't got my shot yet.
That is very, man, that must feel absolutely amazing. Hey?
I can complain.
That's very cool. So when did you know that you would be going down, like, the path you're on, the fight path?
So I the second I got my first fight in, I knew that was a what I wanted to pursue it, but it was around my third fight when I actually got my first loss that I figured out that like I had what takes. I could if I put the extra work in, I could go far on that.
Okay, and so when did you start training?
I started training as a kid when I was about like 10 years old. My mom started me on BJJ. I trained for a couple of years on and off during high school. And then around 17 years old, I started Muay Thai and I went training BJJ, Muay Thai, and competing separately for quite a few years until when I moved to Canada, I got the chance to do my MMA debut, and since then, that's what I've been focused on.
Yeah. So what's the of the disciplines that you know and you practice, what's your favorite of all the arts?
I it's different how I enjoyed it. I think, for example, grappling, jiu-jitsu, it's very interesting to want to learn because it's more like a live martial arts. Is always changing, it's always transformers. There's always something to adapt and switch depending on your body type and how you move. But as to use in a fight, I'm more of a striker. I like to stand and throw punches and kicks and knocking out people. It's one of the best sensations I can get during the fight.
Take a shot to throw a shot kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so how old were you for your first fight?
I first turned pro was 23, if I'm not wrong.
Okay. And what do you remember about that fight? Like, what still stands out? What specifically, like, man, I'm never gonna forget that.
I think the entrance scene coming into the cage, all that, the energy, the crowd. I was fighting amateur and like tournaments before, so it's nice, but it's not the same energy. You're not the center stage and all. And the fight itself was, I remember, had a lot to learn after that. It was one of the situations when you kind of forget a lot of what you learn and you just want to throw, just want to knock your opponent out. And from that experience, I had to start calming down again and understand how I want to play my game.
Sure.
But that energy that I felt that when I got into the cage, I can't forget for shit.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, when did you get the nickname Bigfoot, and who gave it to you?
I got this nickname like back in the day when I first started on BJJ back in Brazil, back home.
Yeah.
I was about again 10, 11 years old and shoe size 14 already, so was a clear choice.
Yeah, obviously. And how weird, like thinking back over the last couple, 2.5 years with COVID and stuff, like how weird has the last couple of years been for you? And like, was it tough to keep active and in that regard, or?
Yeah, so with the pandemic, especially at the beginning, there was no fights going on. There was no the gym were closed, so we had to jump through some hoops to be able to get training. Once we got the green light to get the professionals going on, we were able to have a couple small groups at the gym and be able to work at least on keep up in shape and all. But definitely like on the beginning, affected us a lot. And beside all that, um, I spent over a year without fighting because through the pandemic because there was no fighting going on inside Canada.
Mhm.
The I was having a really hard time getting out of the country due to all the like vaccinations and all the restrictions. So I had just to sit and wait and focus on like getting better shape, getting ready. So it was bad in a way that I was having a good momentum before it started, and I probably would have a, a good 2020 if I would be able to compete. But was a year that I focused on myself, focused on getting better on some personal stuff, and get my game solid for when I came back. I'm just in a 4 or 5 winning streak with 4 straight finishes in the first round.
Mhm.
So I think overall it worked out well.
That's amazing. Now, how much tape do you watch before you fight somebody?
As much as I can,
Really?
as much as yes. I have a good team with Ford Media that works with me from Brazil. They usually collects all the information that we can get on the fighter from Instagram, from tapes. Mr. Franco also gets some stuff. So we got all the fights, we got all the training, everything we can get online. We gather, we watch, we see the minimal details, we break down the opponent, then we start building the strategy. I'm very like sharp on that. I'm very like precise in trying to build my strategy, start to see, oh, he steps right, he steps more to the left, to the right, and where I'm going, trying to see the path and try to visualize the fight before it happens. Helps
Interesting.
a lot when you actually get there.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because I've talked to some fighters that are like, "No, dude, you can't watch too much because then you kinda, like, you psych yourself out a little bit," you know? You almost get that, like, "Holy fuck, these guys are actually they're good fighters." But that's great, so you just, like, attack it as much as you possibly can then.
Yeah, it's my style. I'd rather be over prepared and just go there on the heart. I know that I have the heart to do it,
Yeah.
but if I can have combine with information and be more prepared, I'd rather do that.
Yeah, okay. So what's the worst you've, ever been hurt in a fight?
I'm being very lucky in a certain way that I never got any major injuries in my career,
Mm,
either inside the cage or doing training. Like I think injury itself, I got a broken nose once during the fight. But overall, it was just a couple like eye, stitches on the eyebrows and stuff like that.
yeah, that's not bad considering like you said, you started at 10 years old. When do you think kids should start, training martial arts?
So as soon as possible, to be honest, especially like I'm a new father now. My son is just a year and a half right now, and
Mm,
I can see how much they absorb of a young age. So earlier you can introduce the sport, introduce the activity, introduce the information. Easier going to be to the head and the body develop and assimilate the information.
mhm,
Uh, I see like everyone should learn a little bit of martial arts in case of self defense. So it helps with the confidence, help with structure and like with focus. But in terms of the kids, I think like the ideal balance between like the body can do it and the mind is ready to learn
mhm.
should be around 4 or 5 years old, depending on the physical development of the kid.
Okay, okay. And you may not have ever actually had one of these, but when was the last time you were in a street fight?
Ooh, I was 18 years old and was with my best friend.
Yo, your best friend.
yeah, we're young and we're having like uh just a couple of like friendly discussion, but like we got a little bit overheated. We were a little bit drunk the day and we just started throwing at each other.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm a very peaceful guy. I try to avoid conflict most most of the time. I rather get paid to fight people, so you won't see me street fight for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. I know this is a question that like most fighters don't even want to answer, but I'm asking anyway. Who is the best all time, men and women?
MMA.
Yeah,
That that's a very hard question. I don't think it's hard to give a straight answer. I would say from what influenced me the most and when I see one of the best is Anderson Silva. I think the difference between him and his opposition when he was in his prime, that was different. Like I think it's between him and John Jones, but I
mhm,
think the way Anderson moved, the way he would interact with his opponent and getting people on his opponent's mind during the fight was just in a different level.
totally. Like, remember that fight that he did with Forrest, and he just dismantled. Like, it wasn't
Yeah,
remotely close.
completely like he break forest. He got like Sone the like he had the fortitude to survive for 4.5 rounds against Sone and find that triangle choke. Like it, if you see like his top performances, he's definitely one of the best guys ever.
Yeah. And how about women?
Women, I'm a very fan of Amanda. Uh, but I think Valentina is overall like skill for skill the most skilled female fighter ever. Pound
Yeah.
for pound, skill for skill, like she's good. She can do anything from anywhere. Is just a different level.
Yeah. The last UFC fighter that we had on this podcast was Raquel Pennington, and she's tough as nails too. Like,
Yes.
well, that girl can fight. Dude, I want to get your thoughts on. Thank you again for doing this, by the way. I want to get your thoughts on a couple big fights coming up.
Yeah.
So
Sure. That sounds
the
fun.
big one, of course, is Jones and Gain, which would be the
Yeah.
heavyweight championship coming up in March. Who do you got for that? Like,
Mhm.
that's a good fight.
It's interesting because I'm still hesitant with Jones moving up to heavyweight. There's a lot of difference on weight between you be at 205 and you be at like find someone at 205 and find someone at 265 plus, and how Jones will gain the weight if he's able to gain that extra weight, gain that 30, 40, 50 pounds he wants to gain and keep up with his movement and his speed. Jones is a better fighter. He has more tools, he has more skills, and especially like with his grappling, we saw how Ngannou that's not a grappler what he did with Gunn. And if Jones can translate his skills for a heavyweight, I see he getting gunning the ground and just either submitting or ground and pound like
Grab.
first 2 3 rounds of the fight.
So you got Jones.
Jones
Uh,
two or three.
you'd have to be stupid to not to take Jones, I think. So March 18th, Edwards, Usman. This is for the welterweight championship of UFC. Does Edwards steal this, or does Usman take it back?
I think he was mistakes back.
I do too.
It was just such the first fight was for me was in the bank, but until the second, I it was all over. It's one of those things that MMA can bring to us, but um, I didn't see the time of the knockout. I was watching the entire fight, and I said, you know what, fight's over. I'm just gonna go to the washroom and
You never do that.
wash my hands, brush my teeth,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go to bed. If I just gonna see the announce Usman and gonna go to bed. Then I just heard Joe Rogan from the room. It's all over. I said, damn, I miss it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think skill for skill, Usman should take the win.
I think so too. Yeah. And the last one I want to ask you about, I guess maybe there's a couple on the same card here. April 8th is the Pereira and Adesanya. That's for the middleweight championship of UFC.
Yes,
Like Adesanya's taking that,
yes.
right? Or no?
I think I had him in the first fight.
So did I.
I had here very clear in the first fight. Now I don't know. It's one of those arcs because I think in that situation, the mental for Easy would be the hardest thing to read. You got you lost to the same guy three times in a row, and
Right.
even when he fought, he was completely dominant. He was controlling the fight again. He got that third loss, and I don't know how if he gonna have the mental fortitude to do what needs to be done. So I would go with Barrett again.
Okay. Okay.
He just needed one hand to finish the game.
Oh man.
That
Man,
dude's huge.
he's huge, man. Yeah, he's awesome. And then on the same card we have Burns and Masvidal
This is a walk in the park. I would go. I put all my money and my house on Burns.
on Burns. Like Masvidal
Yes,
is
100%.
he's way overrated, isn't he? I think he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love Masvidal as a fighter, as persona and personality, but I never see he never being in the same level as competition to the top five on the welterweight.
Right.
Even both chances he had on the belt, like he got last minute, and he just got destroyed by Usman
So you think Burns all the way?
all
Put
the
my
way,
house on
like
it. Put my
easy.
kids on it. In fact,
I bet my kid in it. It's a safe bet.
nice. All right, Caillou, I told you I'd be maybe 15, 20. I want to get outside of fighting for a little bit. If I could steal for another five or
Of
so.
course, yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Okay, cool. So, curious of what shows, like what TV shows right now are you binge watching?
What TV shows right now I'm binge watching? I just recently finished the '90s show. That '90s show.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you watched the '70s show, of course, right?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And I've had some people chirping off on my Facebook page like, "Oh, don't do it, man. It's not as good. It doesn't live up to the expectations." But you liked it, eh?
So that's the problem. I like it. The problem with everything is expectations. I didn't have as much expectations, especially with the new characters.
Right.
And I just had a good time knowing this new world. While I really enjoy the familiar part. What I have, the old characters were very funny, were very uh, on their place, and was interesting to meet these new people. That's how I see those kind of like new like remakes and reboots or whatever you want to call it,
Sure.
what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think lately was that was yeah, that was the thing we binged last.
Okay. And how about for movies and stuff? Not that you binge movies, but like, are you into all the superhero movies that are made, like X-Men and Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and all that?
Yeah, big time. I'm a big Marvel guy. I think
Nice.
it's a pre requirement. If we're training at FPP MMA, you need to be a little bit inclined to Marvel. So I watch all the movies and shows of the MCU, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'm always on top of that.
Yeah. What are some of your favorites from that?
I really like the First Avengers, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. The last Spider-Man that they did, No Way Home, was really, really good.
Yeah.
Off my head, it's one in the Thor Ragnarok. It's one of
Yeah.
my
Funny
top
show.
four. Yeah,
Yeah. Really good show. I thought that as soon as what's the guy's name? John Favreau. As soon as he got his hand in that in that world,
Mhm.
and he made like the first Iron Man was like, what?
Yeah,
Oh my God, is this where the movies are heading? Like, because I don't know about you, but like as a kid, that's the majority of my time was spent reading
yeah.
comics and kind of getting in that world, and it's pretty cool to be where we are with that stuff, I think.
Oh no, 100%. Like, yeah, and getting all the connections and just seeing everything coming out together. I think the ultimatum, I mean, the end game was like just everything coming together. The 10 years we were all with everything we watched it was just like it's unheard of.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And so, if you could pick a superpower, which power would you want to have?
Being visible.
Invisible. Nice, dude. That's a great choice. Where's the first place you're going as an invisible character?
I don't know, it's just like sometimes I just want to do my stuff without people looking around and shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let me throw an oddball one by you. Um, do you have a near death story, like where you're like, "Holy crap, I could have just died."
I kind of do. I spun on the highway one a couple years ago. Like 4 a.m., 3, it's not even 4, 3 p.m. Traffic was busy. A van just cut me off. I had to turn quickly, and my car just started spinning around.
Holy crap.
S- Sorry, that was my battery. It's getting a little bit low, but the car just started spinning around, and I almost hit the center of the island center. Almost hit the other wall, and somehow like I was able to avoid all the cars that was on my area, and everything that was behind me just stopped and wait until to see what's going on, and just started the car again and run. But I thought I would be in trouble that day.
Wow. Like, and isn't that weird? Like in those moments where time kind of almost slows down and everything goes a little bit slower and you can see everything like, oh shit, here we go.
Like I feel like because of the fighting, I'm used to understand and control that extra adrenaline going on, and the moment of the how when the time started getting slow and all.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I was able to manage and avoid people around.
Wow.
Because otherwise, I would hit someone.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I'll give you a couple more questions and we'll wrap it up here.
Of
Where did you grow up
course.
again? Sorry, I caught that at the beginning. But where'd you grow up?
So I'm from the city called Presidente Prudente, is on the state of São Paulo in Brazil.
Okay, cool. And so
So it's a
when you're
city around like 5 hour drive from São Paulo City. Just in the interior, there's around like 2 to 300 thousand people.
okay.
Small,
So
it's like a medium size city in Brazil. Yeah, go on.
right. So growing up there and like Brazil's very known worldwide as being a very musical country. So
Yeah.
what did you grow up listening to? Like what are your parents playing you as a kid? Like what are you being influenced by music wise?
So my parents, especially the region where I grew up, there's a lot of the sertanejo, that's the Brazilian country music.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoy a little bit of everything. As we grow old and start going out and start enjoying different kind of like environments, you listen a little bit of like electronic. You go for samba, axé. Brazilian. There's so many different styles and different kind of music. It's so diverse, so interesting to like just play around. They say I always have a different music for a different time. I like to, for example, I like to listen to country when I'm on a road trip,
Hmm,
but I don't listen that. It's not the same music I will listen at the gym while I'm training.
sure.
So
What do you listen
I'm
to when
very
you're training?
excited. I like very like 90s hip hop and some
Oh,
punk rock.
okay.
What I grew up with, like some big and even Blink-182, this kind of stuff. Just mixing up a little bit around Eminem.
Okay, okay. And what was the first concert that you went to?
First concert that I went to, like bigger, more international concert that like I always went to small concerts in my city, but international by myself, big show, went to Florida slash Pitbull in Halifax.
Okay, yeah. So I bet you had a blast at that one.
Yes, that was 2012, so it was at top of those guys' game.
Oh, for sure. I
That's
bet you
fun.
that show was amazing. Yeah, I bet. All right, dude. I'm gonna wrap it up. One last question. It's probably the toughest, or maybe it's not. Maybe you got a stand-up moment for yourself. But what has been your career highlight so far?
I believe that's easy. That's easy. That's easy. That's when I proposed to my girlfriend at the time, fiance now, on the kid after a first round knockout.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So when are you guys getting married? Is that have you set a date and everything's ready to go, or is it kind of just
No, no. Like we were taking things slow. The pandemic hit it, and now we are getting back to these plans. Probably sometime next year, 2024. Sounds like a good year. Right now, we had a kid after, so it was pandemic. The kid now, by the time he's gonna be a little bit older, we're gonna be able to enjoy ourselves a little bit more.
yeah?
And I should then save up some money to do that because
Oh,
weddings
yeah.
are not cheap.
They're definitely not inexpensive. Caillou, thank you, man, for taking some time. So what's in store for you for the rest of 2023?
uh, I hopefully get to the UFC as soon as I can. I should be there last year with the Contender Series. Unfortunately, I had some visa issues and had to pull up the fight. Within this year coming up, after my last fight, I feel I did what I had to do to prove I deserve to be on within the best fighters of on my division, and I just need a shot to prove I not just belong, but I can take over.
Yeah. Well, we're rooting for you, buddy. We're rooting for you.
Thanks.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. You're easy to find online at Bigfoot Machado on Twitter, Bigfoot Machado underscore MMA on Instagram. I guess we'll see you in the ring and we'll see you online. Thanks, buddy. Good to talk.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Good talk.